Pastor Rick Wiles, founder of the far-right conspiracy website hilariously titled True News, is a racist, homophobe, transphobe, Islamophobe, anti-Semite, pretty much a bigot of any kind, and he recently caught COVID, and is now hospitalized because of it, and I don't feel bad whatsoever for him. This man spent the better part of a year saying things on his show like, COVID-19 is God's punishment on all the sinners in humanity, implying that all of those who caught COVID and died deserved it somehow, saying things like, this is also God's punishment on China for having a quote-unquote godless communist government, as if the citizens of China who caught COVID and died somehow deserved it because they were somehow partly responsible for the actions of their government, which is absolutely fucking preposterous. And not to mention China isn't communist in the fucking slightest, but that's a topic for a different time. From Orlando Weekly, that same month, meaning last March, an outbreak occurred at a synagogue in Israel, and Wiles referred to it as God's punishment for not accepting Jesus Christ as their savior, reports the publication. God is spreading it in your synagogue, said Wiles. You are under judgment because you oppose his son, Jesus Christ. That is why you have a plague in your synagogues. Even more recently, he has said that the vaccine is a quote-unquote genocide, and has even gone on record to say that hundreds of millions of people will die after taking the vaccine. And he has said that everyone who takes the vaccine is a stupid person, and he won't feel bad whatsoever if they were to die after taking the vaccine, because they are sheep, quote-unquote. So, why should I feel bad that a fucker like this got what was coming to him, caught COVID, got it so bad apparently to the point where he had to be hospitalized? Not to mention the man is in the prime age demographic of the people who die from COVID. He is 67, pushing 70. He's more than likely going to be fine. I don't think his life is threatened in any way, but then again, not much info was given on his condition aside from the fact that he had to go to the hospital. But hypothetically, if he were to die after catching COVID, I would say maybe there is a God out there with a sense of humor, because this guy spent the better part of a year using COVID-19 to justify his hatred against certain groups of people, saying things like COVID-19 is God's punishment on humanity, everyone who catches COVID-19 and dies from it deserved it somehow, and then this fucker catches it himself. The only reason I would hope that this guy makes it out completely okay is so I can see him go on his stupid fucking show and scramble for any reason under the sun as to why he caught COVID himself. He can't just eat shit and say on his show that this virus is actually serious and anyone is capable of catching it, please take proper precaution. His audience would never let that fly. He'll probably take the Trump approach. He catches it himself and then in desperate attempt to save face, I caught the virus, it was no big deal, it was just like a cold. I survived, so you can survive it too. And then he'll push his anti-vaxxer bullshit. You don't have to get vaccinated because this virus is just like the common cold. You can just brush it off like I did. And while we're on the topic of his audience, what the fuck do all the people who watch Rick Wiles have to say after their guy who pushed anti-vaxxer conspiracy theories said COVID-19 is not a big deal, all of those who caught it deserved it somehow? What the fuck do they have to say after he caught it himself? I'm really trying to wrap my head around how one can still be a COVID denier and an anti-vaxxer after seeing all of these right-wing talking heads, even the fucking former president of the United States, Donald Trump, catching COVID, and yet they're still like, COVID's not a big deal, I'm not getting vaccinated. You would think that after seeing these people who have peddled bullshit about COVID since the beginning catching COVID themselves and having to be hospitalized after catching COVID, and in some cases dying after catching COVID, it would be a bit of a wake-up call for the people who listen to these talking heads, but no, it isn't. These people will more than likely still listen to Rick saying bullshit like, COVID's not a big deal, anyone who dies from COVID deserved it anyway because they were sinners. I just want to know how they fucking rationalize all these right-wing talking heads catching COVID themselves after saying things like, COVID's not a big deal, you don't need to get vaccinated, you don't have to take any precaution against COVID either, like wearing a mask, because that's quote-unquote tyranny. The sheer hypocrisy is staring at these people right at their faces, and they still don't fucking see it. And the scary part is, the target demographic that listens to Rick Wiles are the same exact people that are more likely to die after catching COVID, because Because I assure you, no one under the age of 55 unironically listens to this guy. The only reason I know who the fuck he is because political commentators I like watching love to take the piss out of him a lot. And I'm willing to bet that most of the people watching this video probably don't even know who the fuck he is because he doesn't speak for you. He speaks for a dying breed. Boomers who are hateful pieces of shit that want the world to stay hateful and use their quote-unquote Christianity as an excuse to be hateful towards groups of people they don't like. I used to say, nah, I don't wish COVID on any of these stupid fucks because they could possibly pass it on to someone who was responsible and actually takes this fucking virus seriously, but I'm at the point where if you've spent the entire time downplaying and or denying COVID, spitting on anyone taking proper precaution against COVID, calling them quote-unquote sheep, and being an anti-vaxxer dipshit, and then you catch COVID, you got what was coming to you. I don't feel bad whatsoever, and if you were to die after catching it, well, you got what was coming to you. You did not care whatsoever about the virus and those who caught the virus, and then you only realized the severity of it when you caught it, and it was too late. So yeah, why should I feel bad for these kind of people exactly? But yeah, anyways. Rick Wiles, you're probably gonna be okay, unfortunately, but when your time comes, if there is a hell, it is waiting for you. That's all I have to say. Bye-bye.